Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Suzuka circuit for the fourth round of the 2020 NOSSCAR GT Cup Series season. This legendary circuit in Suzuka City, Japan, opened originally as a Honda test track in 1962, and has since played host to many different racing series, most notably Formula One and its historical championship battles that have been settled here. Tonight in the GT Cup Series, we will see if the championship battle will close up, after Toyota driver Pac-Man has seen early dominance this season, winning all three races so far. Trenton Krentz starts on pole here in Japan, looking for redemption after crashing out of the lead last week in Belgium. To find that redemption, he'll have to run perfectly at one of the most difficult tracks in the world. This 3.5-mile circuit starts with a 1,000-foot run in the first set of corners, a double right-hander. The drivers then head uphill through a seemingly never-ending set of S's, and after racing through the sweeping left Dunlop corner, they'll start the second sector of the lap. Sector 2 leads the drivers to the two right-handed Degner corners, under the bridge, and through a slow uphill left-handed hairpin. Back down the hill, the drivers will have to navigate the tricky, fast left-hander of Spoon, and after that, they'll head back uphill into the final sector. At the end of a long back straight, they'll blast to the famous left turn kink of 130R and over the bridge, ending the lap after negotiating the Casino Triangle chicane. Enough for me. Let's get to the starting grid for today's Japanese Grand Prix. Trenton Krentz will lead the field to the green tonight. This is his second pole of the season, but he's yet to get his first win of the season. Last week, it looked like it was a sure thing, that first win. However, after leading the first 20 laps in Belgium, he made one mistake which sent him back to finish third and settle for bronze. Tonight, he knows that nothing would be sweeter than a redemption victory. He finished second here last year, and he's looking to one-up that here in 2020. However, the man who nobody can stop so far this season, Pac-Man, will start right behind him. Pac-Man has won the first 3 races of the season, and tonight he'll look to get around Trenton Krentz and make it a quartet of gold trophies. The third man in the championship battle, Bill Baldwin, he will start third in line. Last year he finished 11th here in Japan. He's looking to definitely do a better job of that, and maybe a much better job and take that gold trophy home, and become the first driver to win this year not named Pac-Man. Starting fourth in his Corvette is Jesse Carlson. Jesse's had a really good debut season so far. He's hung around the top 5, has yet to get that top 5 this season though. Tonight, starting from 4th, he won't have much work to do, just keeping some guys behind him. We'll see if Jesse can secure that first top 5 of his career here tonight in Japan. Right behind him, however, is his Corvette teammate of Chris Ryan. These two went at it last week in Belgium with a very exciting battle with a lot of strategy coming into play. We'll see how these two race each other tonight. Percussive starts 6th, and he had a really solid start to the season with 2 4ths and then a 5th. We'll see if he can continue that top 5 streak here tonight. Starting from 6th, however, it's the lowest he started all year in his Toyota FT1. Jeffrey Robinson Jr. makes his first career start here in Japan. He will start 7th in his Nissan GTR. Usually that's Tyler McMurder in the GTR, however he cannot race for the remainder of the year due to other obligations, but he's left the car in good hands. Jeffrey Robinson Jr., a Supercross champion here in NOSSCAR. We'll see what he can do with 4 wheels now. He starts 7th in his first race, off to a very good start in his career. Larson Rocks makes his first start in what is also the Dodge Viper's first start of the season. That Dodge Viper, we haven't seen it yet, but we'll see if he can snake it through the field from 8th on the grid. Cameron Norton starts 9th in the 3rd Corvette on the grid. He's had an okay season so far. He's finished in it with his first top 10 last week in Belgium. We'll see if he can carry that momentum into another top 10, maybe even a top 5 here tonight. Welcome back Rob Oglesby, who will start 10th in his Hyundai Genesis. He missed last week, but he got his first top 10 of his career at Blue Moon Bay Speedway, which is his last start. So we'll see if he can carry that momentum into another top 10. Alex Tasdal in his Ford Mustang will start 11th. He made his debut last week in Belgium and finished with the top 10. We'll see if he can make that 2 in a row to start off his career. Rob Lohman Sr. starts 12th on the grid in the Chevy Corvette, and he's had a slow start to the season so far, but tonight he's going to try to hit the ground running and get some momentum for the rest of the season. Anon Games will make his first career start in his Toyota Supra. He'll start 13th and last on the grid. He's talked a lot about trying to be the next big thing in this series, in this entire league as a matter of fact, so we'll see if what he preaches comes true here tonight. Without any further ado, let's get down to the green flag where Trenton Krentz will lead his redemption charge. Here's Trenton Krentz leading a field of 13 Group 3 cars through the Casino Triangle chicane. The most cars we've had to start off a Grand Prix this season. And Trenton Krentz will be the lead engine down into turn 1. He takes the green flag and we're underway in Japan. 3 Toyotas lead the field, followed by 2 Chevys and another Toyota. Trenton Krentz leads the charge into turn 1 for the first time here on lap 1. And it looks like he's overdriven it a bit. He's off in the runoff. And that's going to cost him a lot here already in the first corner of the Grand Prix. He'll drop back to 3rd. Luckily, that's all he'll lose, is back to 3rd, just in front of Jesse Carlson. And that hands Pac-Man the lead that easy. So far this season, we know if somebody makes a mistake and Pac-Man takes the lead, he's not giving it up. Through the tricky S's for the first time, you got to try to stay right on the back bumper of the car in front, despite the dirty air, and staying in dirty air on corners that are already incredibly understeery. That's a task. You see Trenton Krentz leading the train behind him through the 2 Degners and under the bridge. As you see right here, the 2 Corvettes going at it. This is Jesse Carlson with his teammate Chris Ryan on his inside, and he'll make the move before the hairpin. Percussive right behind him now. Jesse Carlson drops back to 5th. That's going to help Trenton Krentz focus on this set of FT1s just in front of him rather than have to worry about the pack behind him. We'll see if Trenton Krentz can make easy work of Bill Baldwin. These two have gone at it a lot throughout their NOSSCAR careers. We'll see what comes of this. Here on lap 1 already, the race taking a very strange form as Trenton Krentz, reigning champion, makes an uncharacteristic mistake into turn 1 on lap 1. Into 130R for the first time. Trenton Krentz not going to go for the move. In F1 cars, you can take that flat out. In these cars, just a little bit of braking. Into the chicane for the first time at full speed. Looks like those two are going to remain steady. Chris Ryan has gapped Jesse Carlson just a little bit. Percussive still right behind him. Jeffrey Robinson Jr. still runs 7th. Larson Rock still runs 8th. Alex Tasdal has made his way up to 9th from 11th. Rob Oglesby still runs 10th. Rob Lohman Sr. still 11th. And Anon Games runs 12th. We've already had somebody drop from the Grand Prix. That's incredibly unfortunate. Back up front, though, it's still Pac-Man leading the way, and he has got a gap on Trenton Krentz, who's made his way around Bill Baldwin. Likely got him in the slipstream down the main straight. So Trenton Krentz already trying to charge back up through the field. Back up to the lead. Bill Baldwin, though. Will he make it easy? Likely not. Bill is a smart guy, though. He knows what to do. He knows to take it pretty easy in the first stages of these races. An hour long, these races. We're only 3 minutes in, so I don't expect him to be too aggressive and mess up the rest of his race. FT1, Supra, FT1. Still, 3 Toyotas dominating this series. You see Chris Ryan in the Corvette runs 4th. Percussive has gotten up to 5th. Jesse Carlson has dropped behind Jeffrey Robinson back to 7th. Jeffrey up to 6th. So Jesse Carlson made some sort of mistake, which cost him a couple positions. He was running 5th last we checked. And you see Jeffrey Robinson Jr. making a mistake in the spoon corner, and that'll send Jesse back up to 6th. And that's the end of the top 7 choo-choo train that we got. Larson Rocks, he's quite a gap behind in 8th. He's got Alex Tesdall in 9th and Rob Oglesby in 10th. Rob Lohman Sr. is in the Degners right now, already almost a lap behind. He's in 11th, with Anon Games not too far behind him. Also, almost a lap behind. He runs 12th in his first start. Pac-Man, back up front, has led the first 2 laps of this race. He's got a charging Trenton Krentz right behind him. Trenton trying to make as quick work as he can of his charge back up to the front. Obviously, only dropping back to 3rd was a blessing. Easily on the first lap could have dropped back even further, but only fell back to 3rd. Has already gotten around Bill Baldwin. He's going to try to get back up to that back bumper of Pac-Man and make light work of him. We open up the lap times. 1 second. We can't see them yet, but by the looks of the gaps, it looks like Trenton Krentz is pushing hard, and that is helping him close a lot on the man in front. It's a top 3 breakaway, a slight gap back to the Corvette of Chris Ryan, who's running very solid in 4th. Percussive runs 5th, and Jesse Carlson 6th. Another slight gap back to Jeffrey Robinson Jr. in 7th, who's got daylight behind him back to Larson Rocks, who's running a steady 8th, but looks like a pretty boring 8th. Alex Tasdall now has Rob Oglesby right behind him as they head towards the hairpin. Rob might go for a look around the outside, outbrakes himself a little bit, gives Alex a bump, and the Ford Mustang's going to run wide, but will hold that P9. It's an exciting battle at the tail end of the top 10. We'll keep tabs on that, but back up front, see Pac-Man lead another lap with Trenton Krentz behind him still. Okay, so no updates on the lap times, I guess. This game made by masters of technology. So Trenton Krentz, we're just going to have to eyeball the gap, I guess, as it stands. And I would say it looks like he is gaining. And Bill Baldwin is staying right in his tracks as well. So this could very easily be a 3-horse race to the very end of this Grand Prix. And we do know that Trenton Krentz, his pit crew, has been working him some magic this season. Has helped him out a ton. So if he is right in the midst of a battle, come pit stop time, he'll probably be long gone in that battle when he leaves the pit lane. Pac-Man will lead the field up the hairpin for the 4th time. Cool and steady. That's the way he's run the first 3 races of this season. One of the most dominating starts to a season we've ever seen in the entire NOSSCAR league. Last week, definitely could say that it was a little bit of dumb luck to win the race. Obviously, Trenton Krentz just making one small mistake that led a domino effect that sent him back to 3rd. Just handed Pac-Man the win. But the first 2 races, definitely you could say Pac-Man earned those. And right now, looks like with Trenton Krentz charging, he's going to have to earn a 4th victory. almost 8 minutes in now. We're coming up to lap 5. Head through 130R for the 4th time. We cycle through the field again. If we look at the map, we still got this battle for 9th going on. Alex Tasdall still just in front of Rob Oglesby. This is a really good battle for 9th place between a Ford Mustang and a Hyundai Genesis. Not 2 cars you see going at it every day. As they head through Spoon, Alex runs very wide, and that'll probably hand P9 to Rob. Yes, it will. This Kevin Harvick-inspired Ford Mustang makes one big mistake there through Spoon. Had a lot of trouble getting back on the track, and now have to hunt Rob back down. Everybody else has remained stationed so far. As you see, Anon Games going a lap down here on lap 5. Next big thing in this series might have to wait another week. However, this man is the big thing right now. It's Pac-Man. Still, looks like that gap has remained pretty steady over the last lap or 2. Trenton probably just going to remain calm now that he's back up into 2nd and just slightly close up that gap for the rest of the race. Doesn't want to push too hard and then have to pit really early and just mess up his strategy. You see Crazy Legs also running a little wide. That's Rob Lowen Sr. He's about to go a lap down as well. Coming up to 10 minutes completed already. These races just fly by. Pretty sure I heard Rob Lowen. Yeah, he is spun off in Spoon. That's going to make it very easy for the leaders to get back around him. He still runs 11th. Alex Tasdall still hunting down Rob Oglesby. That's 10th and 9th, respectively. Larson Rocks and his debut race. He runs 8th in that very slick Dodge Viper, red and black. Jeffrey Robinson Jr. DNQ'd at Willow Springs, but makes the show here tonight in Suzuka. And a GTR that kind of looks like a cow. He is mooing his way to a very solid 7th place. See, Percussive here running 6th. He's fallen back a little bit. There's Rob Lohman off track again on the left. Percussive runs 6th. He started the season with 3 top 5s, 2 4ths, and a 5th. Right now runs 6th, though. If he wants to keep that really impressive streak going, he's going to have to hunt down Jesse Carlson, who's got quite a gap on him, and not too big of a gap in front of him. He is right on his Corvette teammate, Chris Ryan. These two have ding-donged all season. Gave us a show last week in Belgium. It looks like we're going to get another show here between the Corvette duo in Suzuka. They head up the S's. Jesse's going to stay right in Chris's tire tracks, actually running a bit of a tighter line, which in the end should play to his advantage. Through the Dunlop corner. Jesse doing a really good job of staying right on his Corvette teammate's back bumper. Through the Degners. We'll see if Jesse makes a move here into the hairpin. He's right in that slipstream. This is where Chris got around him on lap 1. No, he's too far back to go for a move there. So if we head back up front, Trenton Krentz has gotten right to the back bumper of Pac-Man. It looks like Bill Baldwin has fallen back a little bit. Here we go. Trenton Krentz going to run a wider line, try to get the momentum down this back straight and up the hill. Into 130R. If he goes for a move here, he will deserve a round of applause. Looks like he's a little too far back to go for it. He closes up dramatically at the end of the straight, though, by the looks of it, into the Casino Triangle. Won't go for the move there. The chicane, if you know anything about Formula One, you know it serves a lot of controversy. And we're going to hope to avoid controversy here tonight between the two championship competitors in the NOSSCAR GT Cup Series. Trenton Krentz trying to hunt down Pac-Man, who is yet to be beat this season. And Trenton Krentz, reigning series champion, winless so far this season, looking for redemption in Suzuka. Has dropped back a little bit as he heads up the S's. That might be him trying to set up his next move, though. Sometimes you want to drop back and set up that move, let the slipstream suck you back in with a little more momentum. It sounds weird, but sometimes you could be too close to the guy in front to make a move. But right now, definitely Trenton Krentz has dropped back on Pac-Man than when we first checked in on this battle. Bill Baldwin has seemingly dropped back a lot, but he is still right there. These two battle hard enough, Bill Baldwin will be right there again. Chris Ryan still holding off his teammate in 4th and 5th. They head through the Degners. Good showing for the two Chevys, who so far seem to be the second best manufacturer in this series. Toyota has dominated the first 3 races of the year, but the Corvettes have done a very good job as well. Down into Spoon this battle goes. Last week I shouted out Jesse Carlson and his paint scheme. Again, I'm going to have to do it. Another really nice paint scheme. Some very playful colors. NOSSCAR color scheme, in fact. And it definitely stands out. The blue and the green and the yellow. So far, this battle with his teammate is standing out. As right now, this stands out. The 2 leaders have come in. 3 leaders make that. Bill Baldwin follows Pac-Man and Trenton Krentz into pit lane. Let's see if the Corvettes follow. It looks like they will. So, we have to keep track of this. Trenton Krentz, yes, in fact, has jumped Pac-Man in the pit lane. And that is something that I saw coming personally. Trenton Krentz's pit stops all season have been so quick compared to everyone else's. And that's going to help him jump back up to the lead. Might have short pitted a little bit, though. So that could come back to haunt him if he has to make an earlier pit stop. But right as it stands, Trenton Krentz has retaking the lead here in Suzuka on lap 8 after losing it turn 1, lap 1. Pac-Man will now run second with Bill Baldwin third. Jesse Carlson, I do not believe pit because he is up to fourth and has quite a gap on Chris Ryan. So we'll see how that plays out. Percussive, I believe, has pit. Jeffrey Robinson Jr. 7th. Alex Tasdall has made his way around Rob Oglesby. We're keeping track of this battle earlier for 9th and 10th. Rob back to 10th in his Hyundai, with Alex Tasdall now 9th. I said on lap 1 somebody dropped out, and I couldn't quite place who it was. It was Cameron Norton dropped out on lap 1. That's unfortunate, as last week he got his first top 10 of the year and dropped out on lap 1 here tonight. Trent Krentz, however, leads the way in position 1 through Spoon for the 8th time they go, with 3-time winner through 3 races, Pac-Man behind him. Bill Baldwin runs 3rd with Jesse Carlson 4th. Jesse has yet to pit. We'll likely see him come in this time. It will be very interesting to see how this overcut works out for him, as he was right behind Chris Ryan before Chris came into pit. So we'll see if he'll be able to jump him. It'll be a very difficult task as Jesse comes in for his first stop of the day. We'll follow Chris Ryan as he comes through the chicane. We'll see where Jesse comes out. Percussive not too far behind Chris. I'm not sure if Percussive pit or not. Looks like he did. So yes, this will be very interesting, as this battle for 4th could now turn into a 3-car battle if Percussive can keep his head down, as it looks like he has. Jesse's going to come out behind Chris Ryan, and it looks like behind Percussive. So Jesse Carlson with the overcut will lose a position and a lot of time, as before the pit stops, Jesse was right on the back bumper of that 24 Corvette, and now he's way back there, a whole almost 2 corners behind. Back up front, Trenton Krentz leads the way through the hairpin in the middle of Sector 2, with Pac-Man right behind him in his tire tracks. If we check the gap, it is just 1.8 seconds and another 6.3 back to Bill Baldwin. So Bill, to close up, will need to put down some really good lap times, and also probably hope that Trent Krentz and Pac-Man battle it out really hard. Trent Krentz, however, if you look at the best lap on the right side of your screen, was about 0.7 of a second faster than Pac-Man last time around. Trent, as a matter of fact, that brings up a solid point. Trent Krentz, despite not winning this season, is right with Pac-Man in points, and that is because you get a bonus point for pole position and bonus point for fastest lap. And so far this season, with Trent Krentz now having 2 poles, and he set the fastest lap in Belgium, he is still right there with Pac-Man, not too far off. So despite Pac-Man winning 3 races and Trent Krentz only have 2 podiums, the gap isn't that big. And with Trent Krentz setting a blistering lap here so far, that will aid him even more. So last week it was a quartet of Wood Brothers Toyotas, and tonight it looks like it's just going to be Pac-Man and Bill Baldwin as a duo, as Percussive, who's 1 of 4, has gone back to his beautiful chrome and red and black scheme, and JRB, no sign of him tonight in Suzuka, did not make the show. As Jesse Carlson has gone around Percussive, that just completely went over my head for a second, and he got right around Percussive, and he has pulled from him, as a matter of fact. So we'll see if that 1 lap fresher set of tires makes that big of a difference. They only pit on lap 8, so clearly tires do wear a lot here in Japan. And that's not something unique to the series. In Formula 1, pit stops come all the time here in Suzuka. It is a very, very high tire wear circuit. All the elevation changes definitely playing into factor with that. A lot of the corners here very sharp as well, so the tires get a high intensity workout. So we'll see how that battle plays out between Jesse Carlson, Chris Ryan, and maybe even Percussive, if he could stay with Jesse. We'll see how that battle for 4th plays out. Bill Baldwin now running a very lonely 3rd. And Pac-Man still staying with Trent Krentz, but Trenton doing his best to pull away. Comes to start lap 11. Past 20 minutes now. Trent Krentz has made his way back up to the lead after a lap 1 mistake in turn 1, outbraked himself, ran wide into the double right-hander of turns 1 and 2. Fell back, luckily only fell back to 3rd, made quick work of Bill Baldwin back up to 2nd, and just a few laps ago jumped Pac-Man on pit road. As you see, this battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th, going through some lap traffic now. Rob Oglesby. You see that the lap cars ghost, and you see Rob hit the grass, and it looks like he's going to spin there in the background. Just keeps a hold of it. You saw him in the background there of the Percussive shot. So lap traffic has really been around the whole Grand Prix. We saw cars going a lap down on lap 5. It's a very difficult track, so for the drivers who didn't get enough practice in, or, oh, there's Anon Games, next big thing in the series, hitting the wall. So the drivers who didn't really get a lot of practice in, they're not going to be doing very good, and that's why we're seeing cars already, Anon Games, as a matter of fact, along with Rob Lohman Sr., already 2 laps down. Practice is so important in this series with the circuits that this calendar has. Requiring the most amount of practice you can give it, the most amount of attention, most amount of precision. That is what this series requires. And right now, the man who is the most precise is Trent Krentz, leading the way. Come to lap 12, past 22 minutes completed now. Last week, my math was off, way off, on the number of laps that we've completed at Spa, so I'm not even going to take a guess here tonight in Suzuka. But if I had to guess, it'd probably be over 40. I said that last week, however, and it was only 26. So don't ever take my word for that. I can give you my word, though, that Trent Krentz is hungry for a redemption victory. And his first victory of the season, on top of it, trying to pull off a championship charge back into the top spot in the standings. They lap Alex Tesdall for, I believe, the first time. I might stand corrected on that. Yes, Alex Tesla will go just 1 lap down now in his Ford Mustang. Larson Rocks in the Dodge Viper still running 8th. Pretty sure he's been there all night. Guys in front of him just pulling away, and guys behind him just wrecking themselves. Larson Rocks has just been smooth and consistent. As I say that, gives it a little skid into the spoon corner. But Larson Rocks, a decent showing here tonight on his debut. Jeffrey Robinson Jr. still running 7th in the Cal GTR. His debut race after DNQing. If I take a look into his windshield, looks like he's running an Ayrton Senna tribute helmet, and as being named after Mr. Senna, I do enjoy that quite a bit. So here is this battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th, and it is definitely a 3-horse race, as I predicted. This is Chris Ryan in the 24 Corvette with his Corvette teammate of Jesse Carlson, number 48, right behind him, and the number 33 Toyota FT1 right behind him. We'll see how this plays out as a 3-car race. Into the spoon corner they go. Jesse looks like he overshoots the corner a little bit, but if he can rebound through the second half of the turn, he might have a lot of momentum down this back straight. And it looks like that is true. And with the slipstream, Jesse, if he can stay right in that slipstream through 130R, he might have a shot into the Casino Triangle. Looks like he's going to just run a little too wide there, and he won't have a shot into the chicane. Jesse has been driving the wheels off of that thing. 1 lap fresher wheels, as a matter of fact, but still it looks like he has been going at it behind the wheel of that Corvette. And Percussive, whose tires are 1 lap older, has done a good job of staying with him. As you see, Chris Ryan went defensive into turn 1 and then now just cut back in front of Jesse to hold these 2 guys behind him. Through the S's, this battle goes. This is where it's going to be really tricky to stay in that dirty air. You see Percussive there. He runs wide. I think took corner entry a little too sharp, which made him run wide through the second half of the turn. But running in the dirty air, the car in front through here, there's a bit of contact there. Jesse doing a good job of staying on that back bumper, literally right on the back bumper of Chris Ryan. But as I've been trying to say, sticking through the dirty air through that S's, that is so difficult because by default those turns are incredibly understeery as they head uphill. You see Anon Games doing a nice little twirl in the background. So Jesse did a really good job of staying in Chris Ryan's dirty air, and now he looks like he's going to take a peek to the outside of this left-hander. Is not quite alongside of him. Percussive did a good job of staying with these 2 guys despite that little mistake we saw earlier in the lap. Into Spoon. Will we see a move? No, we will not. Jesse again going to have to set himself up for the entire next lap. Actually, we saw Chris Ryan give it a little slide through the middle of the corner. Jesse's going to have a lot of momentum down this back straightaway. Will we see him go for a move on his teammate in the left-hander of 130R? He's going to have to be right on him if he does. Doesn't look like he's close enough. I said earlier that there might be some braking, and Jesse Carlson definitely needed to brake with the slipstream. I didn't see Chris Ryan brake, but definitely hard braking the chicane. And now Jesse's going to be under attack from Percussive. Jesse just had too much speed into 130R. Probably should have let off sooner or blipped the brakes just a little bit to get the car rotated, but just ran way too wide through the corner. And that's going to lose him some time on his teammate, and now has Percussive right on his back bumper. Percussive runs it wide through 1 and into 2. He's going to be able to take the corner a little tighter. So that'll give him a lot of momentum up the hill. This is a 3-car battle for 4th place. See Chris Ryan a little wide through that last bit of the S. That's going to give Jesse Carlson the amount of time he needs to close back up. Through the Degners, 1 and 2. Under the bridge, Jesse right on his teammate. This is where we saw that move by Chris Ryan on lap 1. Jesse won't go for the move. Through the hairpin. We'll try to stick on Chris Ryan through Spoon. Down the hill, up the hill, down the hill. That's how they go here in Suzuka. Very elevated track. And Chris Ryan runs wide through Spoon, and Jesse Carlson going to try to park the bus and make the move stick. And yes, in fact, he will. As your 2 leaders, Bill Baldwin, will he come in? Yes, he will. So your 3 leaders come into pit. This is very important. We saw Pac-Man jump, or Trent Crunch jump Pac-Man, sorry, in the first stop. This is the second stop now. Not sure what the gap was as we were looking at that other battle. But yes, Pac-Man right on Trent Crunch's back bumper now as they leave the pit lane. And it looks like he's going to try to go for a move right as they leave. He's going to try to move to the outside through turn 2. Up the hill, he's not going to be alongside of him. We'll go back for a second to Jesse Carlson, making that move stick before anybody else pit. That's going to be huge for him, as now he's going to go for an overcut, but this time with fresher tires. So that move he made on Chris Ryan is going to be huge for that battle for 4th, as long as he can set a good lap here. Back up front, this battle is really close. Trenton Krentz with Pac-Man right behind him. Under the bridge, Pac-Man, will he go for a move? Still only halfway through the race. By the looks of it, my math was way off. It's probably only going to be 30 laps, not 40. So again, don't ever trust my math. So, halfway through the race here on lap 15, coming just up to 30 minutes now in about 10 seconds. Pac-Man, will he go for a move on Trent Krentz if he has one set up? For the race win, I don't know if you can really ever go too early, especially at a track that so far has proved really difficult to pass. I think if you have a pass set up, you gotta go for it here. Here's Pac-Man right in the slipstream of even Steven. Trenton Krentz down the back straight. Trenton goes a little defensive at the beginning half of the straight. Through 130R, they fly through it. Trenton runs a little wider on exit. He's going to carry a little more speed down that short little straight, and will hold the lead here on the outlap. Down the main straight, Pac-Man right in that draft of Trenton Krentz's Supra. Two Toyotas, but two different models. Supra 1, FT1 2. That's how they run right now. Up the hill, Trenton Krentz has led every lap since he took the lead back about 8 laps ago. Lost the lead for 8 laps, took the lead back, and has now led 8 laps. But Pac-Man definitely making it hard for him now. You see him trying to find the line around. As they head through the Degners. Real quick, we're just going to give you an update. Chris Ryan has jumped Jesse Carlson. 4P4. As they head up the hill, Percussive will still run P6. But we're going to keep the camera focused on this battle for the lead, as nothing's more important than that race lead. Through the middle of Sector 2, these guys go. And running in third is Bill Baldwin. He is dropped way back from that battle earlier on. He was right with them. And right now it looks like his main hope is these two maybe get together and have an accident of their own. But Trent Krentz is going to do everything in his power to avoid having an accident of his own after last week wrecking out on lap 20 from a dominating lead and costing himself that first one of the year. So he is hungry. His focus is going to be 100%. His intensity is going to be 100%. He's going to make sure that that red and white Toyota FT1 stays in his mirror for the rest of the race. Looks like Trenton has pulled a little bit from Pac-Man. That gap definitely has grown. Last lap, Pac-Man was probably close enough to maybe go for a really aggressive move into turn 1. Now Pac-Man's nowhere near that. So if we take a look at the lap time, last time around on the right side of your screen, yeah, half a second quicker, Trent Krentz than Pac-Man. And a whole, Trent Krentz was about 6/10 faster than Bill Baldwin. So Trent Krentz definitely the class of the field tonight. And Pac-Man just trying to stick with him and follow his line and just hope Trenton makes a mistake. But Trent Krentz has got his mistake out of the way, got it done early on lap 1, and I'm sure he's going to be mistake-free from here, as long as Pac-Man doesn't make it too hard for him. Pac-Man obviously has had the leader wreck out in front of him 2 times this season. Willow Springs, Bill Baldwin was leading and ran wide, gave Pac-Man the lead. Pac-Man didn't turn back. Then last week, Trent Krentz was leading, Pac-Man running second. Trent Krentz made a mistake, gave Pac-Man the lead, and Pac-Man didn't turn back again. And right now, with 2 lap cars messing up behind him, I could maybe alter their focus a little bit. That could be a little bit of distraction. Having those lap cars, despite them ghosting, can still definitely be a distraction for these drivers. And you can see Pac-Man has closed up to Trenton. Through Spoon. Takes a little look down the inside. Didn't quite get alongside of him, though. But definitely, Pac-Man going for the lead here in Suzuka on lap 17. He was just a little too far back to get alongside Trent Krentz. If he was maybe a foot closer, definitely could have seen a move done. As you see, Pac-Man close in a lot into the left-hander, but he's going to have to slow down. And that's going to cost him a little bit of time. Through the chicane, Trent Krentz still leads. Pac-Man trying to find any way around the leader. into turn 1. Pac-Man takes the corner a little tighter than Trenton Krentz did. Trenton ran a little wider. That's going to mean Pac-Man's going to be a little slower on exit. Trenton's going to have the momentum up the hill. But Pac-Man definitely wheeling that thing. He stays right on the back bumper of that Supra. About half a car length between the two. Just unfortunately for Pac-Man, everywhere he seems to close in, it's not an overtaking opportunity. And as I say that, Pac-Man goes around the inside of Trenton Krentz. Trenton Krentz ran wide through Dunlop, and Pac-Man drove right by the inside and cleared him easy. I don't know if Trenton maybe let him by, because it was almost too easy. Because that's usually not a corner you see an overtake get done. Just a fast, simple, sweeping left-hander. You usually don't see something happen there. But Trenton ran very wide, and Pac-Man just drove by his inside. So, the leaders shift again. Pac-Man back up to the front of the field with Trent Krentz now right behind him. We'll see if Trenton tries to get him back. Meanwhile, an update on that battle for 4th. Jesse Carlson has gotten back up to 4th, and Chris Ryan has dropped back to 6th. Percussive now runs 5th, so that's how that 4th, 5th, and 6th battle has shaken up as we focus on this lead battle. Larson Rocks has gone up to 7th after running 8th basically all day. Juicy J Jeffrey Robinson Jr., has dropped out of the race, unfortunately. So that moves Larson Rocks up to 7th in his debut. Down the main straight, starting lap 19. Nearly 37 minutes into this race. And we have seen a battle for the lead all the way through. Trenton Krentz runs 2nd in his Toyota Supra behind the Toyota FT1 at Pac-Man. Pac-Man has won all 3 races so far this season. Cannot stress enough how impressive that is. Despite maybe there being some dumb luck in there, it's incredibly impressive that he at least would have had 2 firsts and a 2nd. But Trent Krentz looking to end that impressive streak with a win of his own here tonight. Trenton finished 2nd here last year. He's looking to one-up that performance tonight with 1 step up on the podium. Down into Spoon, these drivers will go. Who will win this race? I really don't know. Down the back straight, Trent Krentz definitely not going to be close enough for a move into 130R. So what's important is he just sticks with Pac-Man to set him up for maybe a move into turn 1. But we've seen cars close in so much at the end of the straight, and you see Trent Krentz run very wide at a 130R, keeps his momentum, somehow keeps the car going straight. And we see cars close up so much at the very last second of that back straightaway. It's insane. And that has cost Trenton Krentz a lot of time in this lead battle. You see them lap Alex Tasdale for the 2nd time now. But I don't even think Trent Krentz was expecting that, because I didn't expect it, and clearly he didn't, because he ran so wide. It's very similar to what happened to Jesse Carlson earlier. They close in so much with the slipstream at the end of that straightaway, right at the entry to 130R. So you gotta be wary of that, I guess. But what I was gonna try to say is just don't get too close and run wide. Just stay with the guy in front and set him up maybe for a move in the chicane, if not a move into turn 1. But Trent Krentz now far from a possibility of that as it stands, as now he's just got to hunt down Pac-Man again. As Pac-Man is chased by Ghost of Champions Past, Let's run through the field. Obviously, Pac-Man runs first. Trenton Krentz runs second. Bill Baldwin, a lonely third. Looking at his third place of the year in just 4 races. He has done everything he can. He just hasn't quite had the speed to run up there with the leaders. But he is definitely... the consistency will definitely help him out, as he is still right in this championship battle with the 2 guys in front of him. Jesse Carlson still looking for that first top 5 of the season. He runs 4th after a really good strategy call puts him there. He laps Anon Games, who's wrecked there somehow. So Jesse Carlson looking for that first top 5 of the season, which he's definitely earned several times throughout the year, just hasn't quite had the luck. Right now he runs 4th inside the top 5 in front of Percussive, who's quite a gap behind him, with a 0.2 of a second penalty. Percussive runs 5th. He's finished 4th, and 5th this year. We'll see if he can make that 4th, 5th. But he's going to not make it easy on Jesse. Percussive, a race winner. We'll see what he can do on the young rookie. Chris Ryan, who is running 4th at a point, has dropped back a lot. Probably made a mistake, because he is very far behind the 2 guys in front of him. He now runs 6th. Larson Rocks, who started 8th, ran 8th for majority of the race, makes his way up to 7th after Jeffrey Robinson Jr. dropped out of the race in his Nissan GTR. So that Dodge Viper in the black and red runs 7th. Alex Tesdall in his 2nd career race, he runs 8th in the beautiful red Ford Mustang, sponsored by Busch. So Alex having a decent showing, 2 laps down, but still doing everything that he can. Rob Oglesby is coming in for his... I see this being too early for a 3rd stop. I'm not really sure what stop this is for Rob Oglesby, but he runs 9th. You see him leave the pit lane there. And Rob Lohman Sr. runs 10th. Couple laps down himself in the 43 Corvette. And then Anon Games in his Toyota Supra runs 11th. Even more laps down. So back up front, Pac-Man now has Trenton Krentz back on his back bumper. 21 laps into this race, only 18 minutes to go. This race has flown by with just how action-packed it's been. There haven't been many overtakes, but there have been so many incidents, so many guys just right with one another, that it's still been very action-packed. Sometimes overtakes don't make it interesting. It's just the threat of an overtake that makes a race interesting. In all race, we've seen threats of a lot of overtakes. This time, Trenton Krentz will keep it on the tarmac through 130R into the Casino Triangle. Not quite close enough for a move. So Pac-Man will maintain the lead, and Pac-Man's going to dive into the pits. Pac-Man will pit here on lap 21. Trenton Krentz will take the race lead and will stay out another lap. So, me backtracking to the last pit stop, Pac-Man jumped Trenton Krentz, which is a very uncharacteristic thing so far this year. So maybe Pac-Man short pitted, and that's why he's pitting earlier than Trenton. However, with Bill Baldwin coming in, I'm not really sure. You could just scratch with everything I just said. I don't really know. But Trenton Krentz, whatever the fact is, now leads this race and is going to look for a really, really good lap, which he is a pro at, on this in lap, on what is likely his pit stop lap. So Pac-Man will come back out in 2nd. Bill Baldwin comes out now in 3rd. Jesse Carlson, now coming through the chicane, will come in for his 3rd stop of the day. Percussive will follow suit from 5th. So here's Trenton Krentz running in 1st as he heads under the bridge now. Pac-Man just peeks out of the S's, coming into Sector 2. He runs 2nd, and he's going to look for a really good outlap to make sure he maintains that lead, because Trenton Krentz was flying, and he was right on his back bumper when they all came into pit. Chris Ryan also comes in from 6th. He's going to try to catch back up to that battle for 4th and 5th and turn it back into a 3-horse race. But he's got a lot of work to do for that. Right now, the man with a lot of work to do is Pac-Man. And just like him, Trenton Krentz. These two, both trying to set as good laps as they can for what might be a race-winning move. This very easily could be the last stop of the race. I see it being so. So, whoever comes out in front at the end of this pit cycle, and remember, Trenton Krentz on fresher tires, that's going to be huge, because he's already generally faster than everybody else. And on fresher tires, he's going to be a lot faster than everybody else. So, whoever comes out, if Trenton Krentz jumps Pac-Man, Pac-Man's going to have a task. If Pac-Man stays in front of Trenton Krentz when Trenton leaves the pit stops, which Trenton has just entered the pit lane now, Pac-Man can just keep Trenton behind him. He'll likely become a 4-time race winner this season and in his career. Reminder, this man is a rookie, and he has won the first 3 races of his career. So, here we go. Pac-Man down the main straight to start lap 23 with just now 15 minutes left. The clock just ticked over. 15 minutes left here in this race in Japan. Trent Krentz leaves the pit lane now, and Trent Krentz looks like he's going to jump Pac-Man. Trent Krentz in the Toyota Supra, his pit crew working wonders all season, works him some magic tonight when he needs it the most, and he will jump Pac-Man for the lead in Suzuka. A huge race-changing movement. And Pac-Man now on older tires, who already had quite a task trying to get around Trenton earlier, is going to have to do it again. Oh, wow. What a race here in Suzuka this has been. And we still have 14 minutes left. Still a whole tire stint to go. Bill Baldwin running third. Jesse Carlson fourth. Percussive behind him in fifth. They are starting to spread out quite a bit. So really, oh, there's Larson Rocks having some trouble entering the pits in seventh, but he'll likely keep that seventh, and he's quite a way away. Here is Anon Games initiating Spinata for you F1 fans out there, spinning through the S's, and looks like he says, I'm going to do it again. As you see Jesse Carlson go through in the background there. Yep, there goes Anon Games again. So next big thing, definitely going to have to wait another week. And right now, a man who doesn't want to wait another week for a victory is Trenton Krentz. He leads Pac-Man through 130R for the 23rd time. That blue with a tiny hint of purple Toyota Supra leading the way, and he's going to make sure it stays that way. Pac-Man going to give it all he's got, but on older tires, and so far tonight seemingly has put down a slower lap times. He's going to have to give it everything he's got to the end of this race. We'll probably see about 6 more laps here in tonight's race, if not less, as a matter of fact. Like I said, don't ever listen to me. That's just a rough estimate. Just keep a focus on the time in the bottom left. Once that hits an hour, the race is over. They finish that lap that they're on. Whoever takes the checker flag first wins the race. Check the gap between your 2 leaders. It's 1.5 seconds. So, and last lap, 0.3 of a second faster. Trenton Krentz was 0.3 of a second faster than Pac-Man. So he is definitely pulling away. You see Anon Games doing some donuts again. So, really, really interesting development here. Trent Krentz, with the overcut, has worked wonders. And looks like he's going to probably just drive off as long as he can keep the car facing the right way. Bill Baldwin on the other side of the spoon corner, running in third. Looks like he's going to probably just bring the car home in third as long as he can keep the car facing the right way as well. And I'm sure he'll have no problem with that. Jesse Carlson running a little wide through the Degners. Has Percussive not far behind him. That's your battle for 4th and 5th. You see there, one camera. For a second there, I was able to cover both of them just by turning his head a little bit. Chris Ryan running 6th. He runs through the 2nd Degner now. He's quite a ways off that battle for 4th and 5th now. After being right in the middle of it, leading that battle for a while, as a matter of fact. He obviously made some sort of mistake and really dropped back from those 2. So it looks like he's going to just do his best to put down some laps to the end of the race. Just hope for some miracles. Larson Rocks in that black and red Dodge Viper, sorry. Looks like it's gotten a bit of a workout by the looks of the scratches. We saw him earlier have a little bit of trouble entering the pits, but aside from that, has done his thing, and he's going to bring it home 7th, as he is really in a no man's land. I'm pretty sure he's a lap down, but he's also a lap ahead of Alex Tesdall in 8th in the Ford Mustang, who is quite a ways ahead of Rob Oglesby. But that battle for 8th and 9th, with a mistake by Alex Tesdall, might not be over. Rob Lohman Sr., another lap down in 10th. I think that puts him about 5 laps down. Yes, Trent Krentz is on lap 25. So then we cycle back up to Anon Games, who hits the wall hard entering the pit road. He's about 10 laps down. And I don't really... Oh, he reverses into the pits. Never mind, his car's going to reset. So, Lightning McQueen here having a hard time. This is very interesting. He's going the wrong way on the circuit. I wonder if he'll be black flagged for this. He cuts across the track going the wrong direction. And now it's going to reset him to the very beginning of the pit straight. And now he's just going to go the right way. We have our very own Mahavir Raghunathan, very own Pastor Maldonado by the looks of it in Anon Games 2019. But the man right now who's looking like a world champion is Trenton Krentz running in first. Trying to set his feet in a championship battle with Pac-Man and Bill Baldwin. It is a 3-horse race at the top of the standings between the guys who now run in the podium positions. So you can see there the gap has really spread out. So as long as Trenton Krentz keeps the car on the circuit, he will bring it home a race winner for the first time in 2020. Less than 10 minutes to go. Likely 3-4 more laps by my likely incorrect estimate. And Trenton Krentz will become a race winner here in 2020. Pac-Man running second. I'm sure he can very easily settle for a second. Sometimes winning, it just gets boring. He's won the first 3 races of the season, and then a second to follow that up. Still, a very good start to the season so far for the rookie. Bill Baldwin will bring it home third for the 3rd time this year. More than likely. Of course, I'm getting way ahead of myself, but I don't see this top 3 really making many mistakes for the rest of the way. So, that's your podium as it runs. Here's Jesse Carlson in 4th, and Percussive running a little wide through the S's in 5th. Percussive looks like he is driving the socks off that thing. Trying to close up to Jesse for 4th. Chris Ryan in 6th in the middle of the S's now. In 6th. When he comes across the line, we'll see the lap time. Ooh, Trenton Krentz just got a 2nd penalty. And if you've ever played Gran Turismo, you know that that 1 second penalty generally costs you a lot more than 1 second. You see in the background there, Pac-Man on the main straight. About half the main straight separates your top 2. But Trenton Krentz trying to drive away, but this 1 second penalty is going to really hurt him. He heads through the S's, not serving that penalty quite yet. We'll see when Trenton serves that penalty. I don't really know how it works because the penalty system in this game is a little whack. Not gonna lie. I don't know if he can just not ever serve that and it just adds a second to his race time. But I'm not too sure if he would want to do that. Regardless of if that is a possibility. See there, Larson Rocks and the Dodge Viper getting out of the way on the exit of the hairpin. Very sportsmanlike move there by the driver who I think has just gone a lap down for the first time. No, he's now 2 laps down. So your top 6 will all finish on the lead lap, more than likely. So good job there. Half the field finishing on the lead lap. Sometimes we have a struggle getting a lot of guys finishing on the lead lap, but tonight most guys did keep it facing the right direction. And as I say that, you see Crazy Legs mowing the grass a little bit down the back straightaway. So Trenton Krentz goes a whole lap without serving that 1 second penalty. Very interesting to see there. And that shocked me so much, I never checked the timing sheets. Trent Krentz last lap was at a 58.8, and Pac-Man was a whole second slower with a 59.8. So, but of course, obviously Trenton cut a corner. Not sure what it was. 2:01.0 that time. That's not good. Pac-Man. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the best lap. I've been looking at the best lap the whole race. Don't ever listen to me as a commentator. Last lap, 2:01.0 for Trent Krentz, a 2:01.6 for Pac-Man. So, still 0.6 of a second faster. But let's just point out, Trent Krentz's fastest lap, a whole second faster than anybody else. He has put his head down and gone out for redemption here in Suzuka. And I'm going to have to put my head down for some redemption after that mistake. Apologies for that. The whole race I was pointing out their best lap as their previous lap time. If Gran Turismo had shown me the lap times on the right side like it usually does, that wouldn't have been a problem. But excuses, excuses. Trent Krentz serves a 1/10 of a second on that whole 1 second penalty. So maybe he's just going to slowly serve it all. As we are now under 5 minutes, under 4 minutes as a matter of fact, left in this race. I'm not sure if it'll be one more lap after this or two after this. It'll be close. But I know Trent Krentz, who's leading the way, just wants it to be as short as it possibly can. Once you take that lead position, you just want that checker flag to wave as soon as it possibly can. As we scroll back down through the field, Jesse Carlson's got half a second, a little less than that, 4/10 of a second penalty. Almost 5 is 0.475. And he has Percussive definitely gaining on him. So he might not want to serve that. But he's going to have to in some way, shape, or form. He runs wide there through Degner too, under the bridge. And this battle for fourth could heat up in the very end of this Grand Prix. He drops it down to just 0.3 now, down that short little straightaway. Oh, kicks out the back end. Very nice drift. But he doesn't really want to do that. He wants to keep his line for the rest of the race as smooth as possible, as he has Percussive really closing in on him down the hill. This battle for fourth is not over, ladies and gentlemen. Through Spoon, Jesse Carlson has more time to serve than he has time behind him to Percussive. If I was him, I would try to just overslow the car in the corners to do my best to keep Percussive behind me. I know that would definitely upset Percussive, but as he throws a big block in a 130R, sends Percussive wide. Percussive does keep it on the track, but loses a lot of time. Jesse being very aggressive, definitely frustrated with that penalty, and the fact that he's got a guy closing in so quickly behind him. Under 2 minutes to go. So, depending on where Trent Krentz is, this will definitely be the last lap for these two. Trent Krentz, I believe, will serve another lap, as he still has that penalty to serve, by the way. As we'll go back to this battle, you see there, Percussive has gone down the inside of Jesse Carlson into turn one. Clearly just drove by him with the slipstream. Jesse didn't slow down or anything for the penalty. So Percussive was just that close with the slipstream, and he's going to take fourth place. Minute and a half to go here in Suzuka. And Jesse Carlson, regardless of a penalty, is definitely going to have to settle for that fifth place now. So Trent Krentz, yes, he will make the end of the lap before the timer runs out. He'll still have a minute left when he hits the line. So Trent Krentz, this will be his white flag, if you will. He will take the white flag, and will start his final lap. Under a minute to go here in Japan. Trent Krentz, who, the reigning champion, won 8 races last season in just a 20-race calendar. Starts the season with just 2 podiums. Finished second at Willow Springs. Finished way back in 7th at Blue Moon Bay Speedway after a strategy that didn't quite pay out. Led the first 20 laps at Spa. And then makes one mistake at the bottom of the hill. Sends him back to 3rd. It cost him the race win for sure. But tonight, he put his head down, maybe a little too far down, as he made a mistake in turn 1 on lap 1, sent him back to 3rd. Already had a hole to climb out of. Got back up to 2nd, jumped up into the lead position during the first pit stops. Dropped back to 2nd again after making some sort of mistake. He ran wide through a corner, gave Pac-Man the lead back, but then again through the pit cycles, took the lead back. As, by the way, Percussive, the first car to take the checker flag, he finishes 4th, Jesse Carlson 5th. Trent Krentz down the back straight for the last time here tonight on lap 30 on the dot. Needed redemption, needed to set his feet on the ground after a uncharacteristic start to the season. Trenton Krentz for the final time through the Casino Triangle chicane and through the final right-hander will come across the line to take the checker flag and win his first race of 2020 in the NOSSCAR GT Cup Series. Chris Ryan before him finished 6th. Pac-Man will come out of the chicane and across the line in 2nd. Bill Baldwin coming through 130R now. He will likely finish 3rd. Yeah, he will finish 3rd as Percussive's already finished 4th. Larson Rocks, strong first showing for him in that Dodge Viper. He will finish 7th. Alex Tesdall comes across the line now in 8th. Rob Oglesby 9th. Rob Lohman Sr. 10th. And Anon Games 11th. We already mentioned earlier Percussive, Jesse Carlson, and Chris Ryan 4th, 5th, and 6th. So that is the Japanese Grand Prix in the NOSSCAR GT Cup Series. You see Bill Baldwin. I'm not sure if he's out of gas there. But we finally have a winner not named Pac-Man. And it goes to the reigning champion, Trenton Krentz, who starts his championship charge in 2020 and definitely asserts himself back in there as a favorite. We hope you enjoyed the Japanese Grand Prix, and we hope you join us next week from Monza.